Okay, well, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me here. And as you already said, my name is Shannon Monet. I am 15 years old, and ever since I can remember, I loved talking and singing. I was very outgoing and full of energy as a child. And I'm thankful to have great parental guidance and a supportive family and church family, which has been a fundamental part of my growth. And that's why I have a heart for those who lack structure. And I am determined to make a difference in the lives of all ages, young and old. After discovering who I am and my true calling, I hope my story may inspire and help anyone suffering from depression, bullying, rejection, mental abuse, and the list goes on. And I believe everyone has a distinctive calling in their life and that they should strive to fulfill it. And many people are suffering from unforgiveness, hurt, anger, and bitterness and are struggling to overcome. And I'm dedicating my life to be a light and an example to others by using my voice on social media to show that there's a way out and that they're not alone. So, yeah.
I'm very proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So take me back to, I guess, the age of 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, suddenly my life changed once I entered 4th and 5th grade. I was instantly rejected and deserted, and everyone began to point out my flaws and imperfection. I was the outcast. And as a result of that, I became alone and desperate. And I was on shaky grounds because I was trying to live up to their standards. And my desire to please them led me to be a people pleaser. And I desired acceptance, love, and a feeling of being wanted. But in spite of that, the girl I used to know slowly disappeared. The truth is, I was a stranger to myself and I had no idea who I was. I didn't know my identity and I was allowing others to dictate who I was. And every negative statement said about me, I heard it and I accepted it. Every word helped to shape my false identity, and it was a very difficult experience for me. And afterward, I began to hate myself and hate who I saw in the mirror because of what they said. And as my mind became increasingly full of thoughts, I began to experience suicidal thoughts, depressive thoughts, and discouraging thoughts. I was being bullied mentally, and I became my own punching bag. And I began to beat myself up every single day because I didn't fit the criteria or standard that they wanted me to fit into. Whenever I passed them, they would stare at me in silence, and their words, I mean, their stares said more to me than words could ever express. And the remarks that were made about me were my appearance and how I dressed differently, my personality. And even behind my back, I heard the whispers about me. And it was very painful, especially after experiencing this all at the age of 9 and 10. So I was watching everyone fit in their friend groups while I sat day by day alone, set apart from others. And eventually depression crept in and suicidal thoughts took a hold of my mind. And I grew tired of living with that same feeling every single day. So it was very painful. So over the time, I became tired of pretending everything was fine while I was in pain, despite the loving and supportive and how supportive my parents were. I didn't want to burden them. So in front of everyone, I created my own alternative world where everything was great, perfect, and nothing was wrong. When in reality, no one wanted to associate with me in school because of my differences. And I couldn't control that. I couldn't help that I was different. And even when I went outside my comfort zone to fit in with them, I couldn't find myself else. I still found myself outside of the box as an outsider. And I couldn't tell a teacher about my problems because I knew it really wouldn't make a difference. So that's why I settled without telling any family or friends what I was going through, because I never wanted to put pressure on them. It was a battle I felt that I had to face alone. And at the end of the day, I was alone with these thoughts of depression and suicide. I fought back tears so no one could hear me. I let all the hurt and pain bury inside of me until I started to explode. And at that time, there were so many areas in which I was searching for peace, including toxic friendships, music, and more. That was my way of coping, and that was my way of not feeling alone. However, what I thought was bringing me peace was temporary. I tried listening to depressing artists, depending on toxic friendships, but it just never worked. And I found myself getting more and more depressed. But I realized what really was keeping me here and pulling me through was God. Because on the night of July 18th, 3 years ago, I grew tired of looking at myself in the mirror every day. I felt worthless, invisible, and not important. I was tired of being the kid who was rejected. I was tired of being different, and I was tired of being depressed every single day. And I was just tired of being alone every single day. I had to sit at the lunch table alone and different things like that. And that was very painful. And at the time I thought like, okay, there's no one for me to turn to. I'm tired. And I started wishing I was dead or someone else. And my hope was gone. But it was at that moment that I began to doubt God, even questioning if he was real or not. And why did he make me different? Why didn't he make me like everyone else? I didn't want to be the kid who was labeled as different. I just wanted it all to be over. And I didn't want to be me anymore. So I just started thinking, what's the point of even living? I don't even want to keep going on with the pain. But that's when God had to show me that he is still with me and through everything. And he showed me that I have purpose. And he showed me that he saw and heard me after I thought my pain was invisible. I covered myself almost like makeup, covering the spots that I didn't want people to see, hiding all that pain behind a smile. But I could have ended my life that day by listening to the lies and thoughts inside my head. However, I decided to take an act of courage and listen to what God had to say, which drowned out every thought of suicide, depression, and identity issues. So, yeah.
Wow. So do you know why everything started between grade 4 and grade 5 for you?
Well, I actually moved to this new school, and I left my like old school in 3rd grade, and I moved to another one in 4th through 5th grade. So I was a new student too as well. So that's why, I was getting attacked like that. And
makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you're able to identify like the very first incident that occurred to you, like what was that first signal? Yes, being in a new school, it does, because I've been to a lot of new schools when growing up. I think I've been to, not a lot, but I think I joined 4 new schools, and I was like the new kid on the block. And yeah, it's at first it gets lonely, and then you start mingling with people. You interact with your classmates through class and gym, and you start making friends that way. So what made you that separation? Like, I understand it's still a new school, but over a year, that's quite a long time
Right.
that people were picking on you. In honesty, like, what was your, well, now that you can look back on it, do you know why they were?
I think it was my mental state. It's always been different than other kids my age. Like, even that started when I was young. I always had a different mental state. And I think they didn't like that about me, because I wouldn't do like the same things that they would do. And I wouldn't, do things that they wanted me to do after a while, because my mental state was different. And I've always been mature, and it's a lot to explain, but yeah.
Well, I would honestly say that you are mature, because again, you're talking right now. You're getting what you have to say now, and again, at a young age, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, just my guess, are more older and experienced a lot, and it wasn't until later on in their life that they make that decision. But you're making that decision to speak about your situation pretty much the day after, in a sense. So that is very mature. And again, like I said earlier, I'm very proud of you on doing
Thank
that.
you.
Your parents, do they know what you've gone through, or have you spoken to them about it?
I've spoken to them about it, and they're saying, I made sure I told them. I told them like after the fact. So probably like 2 years later, that's when I decided to tell them. And yeah, but actually, no, I'm sorry. I told my mom probably after it, and she helped me out with it as well. But otherwise, no, I didn't tell anybody else. So yeah.
And how was that? How did that conversation go? Like, what was her reaction in regards to it?
I mean, she was shocked because I hid it. I didn't.
Mhm.
I did a good job of hiding it. It made it seem like, everyone in school liked me. We're all buddies and, good friends. But no, it was the other way around. But I did a good way of hiding it where she couldn't know. So she was shocked by it.
Yeah. And what was her initial first thing that she said to you or did?
Well, she just gave me different advice, and
Mhm.
it's a lot. And but she gave me good advice and everything to help me through it. Um, just encouraging things she said to me and just different things. So it helped me get through it. So
That's
yeah.
good. That's very good. Um, you mentioned a couple things in regards to that keyword was friends. And it looks like despite you going through everything, you may or may not had a couple key friends that you were close with during that time. How did they support you in a way to make you, I guess, and which is very true in your case, is live another day? Because you could have had that thought of suicidal thoughts literally the day of when people started bullying you. So how did they help you as support?
Well, actually, it was a lonely walk actually, because it was just
Mm,
God really helped me. I did have friends at the time, but they were toxic basically. They
mm.
pretended they were my friend at the time, but they ended up backstabbing me and everything. And so yeah, it it was a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that is really tough. Again, going through that at a young age,
Mhm.
you're really experiencing the world, and when
Yes.
you once you hit that experience, you're wondering, oh, is everybody like that? And
Right.
therefore, you really just stay to yourself and say, hey, what's the point? Is this really what I'm on the earth to go through and experience?
Right.
You mentioned God, and that's key as well because a lot of people, a lot of people don't believe in God. A lot of
Mhm.
people believe God, but there's various types of God to
Right.
the world itself. I don't want to get too much into religion because
Mhm.
a lot of people are going to say a lot of things, but hey, it is what it is. Um, Going through that, what did God say or God do to you, or things that you read that gave you encouragement? Because again, earlier you mentioned that at one point you didn't believe there was a God.
No, I didn't. Even though I grew up in the church and everything, I
Mm,
was like, I started doubting because I'm like, okay, why are you letting me go through all this? And why am I dealing with all this? And then why am I different? Why did you make me this way?
mhm,
But after a while, I started getting into his word. I started going back into prayer and just talking to him. And even during those tough times, I just started talking to him. It was like this place in school on the playground where I used to just talk to God the whole time because I'm like,
mhm.
okay, well, I got nobody else. So let me lean on him and talk to him. And that's what really helped me. And yeah.
I guess I assume doing that, and like you mentioned, is like you by yourself in the playground. Whether you were talking out loud or just mumbling to yourself, people are just like, "Oh my gosh, stay away, stay away."
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
So,
much.
and that's what I mean, and that's the tough part. There are many things that depends on the faith that you go with. They'll always say, try and find your closet and speak to God. And it doesn't have to be a closet and speak to God. A lot of people lean on meditation. It's really just a place that they feel comfortable with in doing so. And it seems like, well, based off what you just mentioned just now, it's that playground situation, despite everyone around you, and that is
Mhm.
chaos. You chose a place where everyone can see you do it, and
Mhm.
everyone can see you again, whether or not you're speaking out loud or just your mouth just mumbling. People are just like, oh my gosh, either stay away, stay away.
Yeah.
But really what you were doing, you were connecting to a higher power, and that's the biggest thing with that.
Mhm.
And that says a lot on your personality, is the fact that you're able to, no matter what situation you're in or no matter what your environment is in, you're able to, like, you know what, let me just shut everything around me and let me just focus. And
Yeah.
that is
Mhm.
that is something that, again, that I believe a lot of people can't do. because there's too much noise. And that, I love that word, is noise, because a lot of people don't really understand the concept of noise. And noise is just, it's things that you don't want to hear, things that tries to distract you. That is noise in the essence of it. And again, you chose a place where playground, kids are running around, kids are screaming, they're playing tag, they're bumping into you, you're doing this, but somehow you found a center within yourself to find and speak to a higher power. So again, I'm proud to you on that as well.
Thank you.
Going back and all that, what advice would you give yourself or anyone that's going through certain things?
Well, even though I was delivered from suicide and depression, I was still holding unforgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I was still having dreams about what people done to me in 4th and 5th grade. So I was traumatized by it. I was having thoughts about what they did to me, kept replaying in my mind. And on top of that, it was other events that occurred in my life. And it was a weight that I carried. And I experienced heart pains, which was physical heart pains, not metaphorically. And it was from holding that unforgiveness, because once I let go of everything, it took away that pain. Like, because there are many people who hold unforgiveness and they become bitter because they've allowed anger to set in for years and years from what people have done to them. And it can affect a person health-wise if they carry unforgiveness. And there are even many studies that state unforgiveness can lead to high blood pressure, weakened immune systems, reduced sleep, chronic pain, and even heart problems. But when they forgive, it lowers the risk of dealing with these issues. And you even have people who try to mask that hurt, like I did, or even who look for that missing void through drugs, relationships, music, etc. But it was only a void that God could fill. It's only a void that God could fill. And I had the advantage of letting go of people had done to me at a young age. And I could have held unforgiveness for years and years and grow bitter or angry or have other outcomes. So I truly overcame bullying by letting go and having forgiveness.
I love that. One of my guests mentioned that what they did, they wrote everything down on a piece of paper, and to have that release, they burned it. And while it was burning, they felt such a heavy burden being off them that they felt lighter the next day and stuff like that. And you're very right in what you said, is that once you start to forgive those that have done a lot of things towards you, you remove all the bitterness, you remove all the anger, and you replace it with love. You replace it with compassion, you replace it with understanding. And doing all that, it really does set you free. And it also gives you, I'll say, make you be the better person in a lot of situations. So again, it's just outstanding just to hear that you've done all this at such a young age, on very, very quickly, which again, it's very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
That's all I can really say.
Thank you.
So what's next for you?
I want to go into music, and then I also want to create more videos on YouTube and even on just social media in general. I just want to reach out to more people, and that's my goal. So I'm excited. Yes.
That's awesome. So hopefully I'll be the first person. Well, probably not the first person, but I'll be one of those people that said, "Hey, I had Shannon on my podcast, and this is where she started."
Yeah. I'll be able to mention you.
Anything that you'd like to add?
Oh, no, nothing.
Excellent. Shannon, it's been fantastic. And I truly believe that you are, as you mentioned, a light in this world. Do not stop on what you're doing. There's a lot of people, and young and old, that are going through what you've gone through, and they are seeking a solution. They're seeking a resolution into all this. And I believe that what you said today and what you're going to do in your future days will impact them and will save them. So big thumbs up. Big thumbs up.